There are financial mistakes that are obvious. Buying things you can't afford, ignoring your debt, never saving. Everyone knows these are bad ideas, and yet people still do them because knowing better and doing better are completely different things. But then there are traps, things that look like smart financial decisions, things that everyone around you is doing, things that financial culture has normalized to the point where you don't even question them. And these traps are far more dangerous than obvious mistakes because you walk into them thinking you're doing the right thing. In the Western financial world, there are 5 specific traps that catch almost everyone. Traps that drain wealth quietly over decades. Traps that keep you working longer than you should. Traps that look like success while creating stress. And most people don't realize they're trapped until they're 50 or 60, and they look at their bank account and wonder where all the money went. Meanwhile, Japanese financial wisdom has identified these exact same traps and created 3 specific fixes that work. Not complicated strategies, not get-rich-quick schemes, just simple, structural changes that protect you from the traps that catch everyone else. If you've been doing everything you're supposed to do with money and you still feel stressed, still feel behind, still feel like you're working hard but getting nowhere, you might be caught in one of these traps. Let's discover together what they are and exactly how to escape them. The thing about financial traps is that they don't announce themselves. They're disguised as normal adult behavior, as responsible financial planning, as what successful people do. And that's what makes them so effective. You fall into them thinking you're making smart choices. Let me show you the 5 traps and why they're so dangerous. Trap 1. Lifestyle inflation disguised as earned rewards. You work hard, you get a raise. You finally make a little more money, and the first thing that happens is you upgrade your life. Better apartment, nicer car, more expensive habits. You tell yourself you've earned it. You deserve to live a little better. This is what success looks like. And technically, you're not wrong. You did earn it. You do deserve it. But here's the trap. Your expenses rise at exactly the same rate as your income, sometimes faster. So you end up in the exact same financial position you were in before the raise, still living paycheck to paycheck, just with nicer stuff. This is lifestyle inflation, and it's the single biggest reason why people who earn 6 figures often have no more financial security than people who earn 40,000. Because the gap between income and expenses never grows. It stays the same or shrinks, and that gap is your actual wealth, not your salary, the gap. The trap is thinking that earning more automatically makes you wealthier. It doesn't. It just gives you permission to spend more. And if you take that permission every single time, you'll work your entire life and retire with almost nothing. Because you spent every raise instead of saving it. Think about your own last raise or promotion. What happened to that extra money? Did it go to building your financial foundation? Or did it disappear into a slightly nicer lifestyle that you now can't afford to downgrade from? Japanese financial practice has a simple fix for this trap. When income increases, lifestyle doesn't. The entire raise goes straight to savings or debt payoff. Your life was working at the old income. Nothing needs to change. The raise just made your gap bigger, and a bigger gap is what creates actual wealth. Trap 2. Financing depreciating assets to look successful. The second trap is about status. You're supposed to drive a nice car, live in a good neighborhood, wear quality clothes, take impressive vacations. And if you can't pay cash for these things, you finance them. Because successful people have nice things, and you want to look successful. So you lease a car for $600 a month, you buy a house that's at the top of what the bank will approve. You put vacations on credit cards, you finance furniture, and every one of these decisions feels justified because this is what adults do. This is what success looks like. But here's the trap. You're paying interest and monthly payments on things that are losing value. The car depreciates the moment you drive it. The furniture is worth half what you paid the day you buy it. The vacation is a memory that cost you money you're still paying back 6 months later. You look successful. But you're trapped. Trapped by payments you can't stop making. Trapped by a lifestyle you can't afford to leave. Trapped by things that are bleeding you financially while impressing people who don't actually care. Think about your monthly obligations. Car payments, house payments that are too high, credit card debt from lifestyle purchases. How much of your income disappears into these obligations every month? And how trapped do you feel by them? Japanese financial wisdom avoids this trap completely. They don't finance depreciating assets, period. If you can't pay cash, you don't buy it. And if that means driving a modest car and living in a smaller home, so be it. Because freedom is better than image, security is better than status, and monthly payments are chains, not symbols of success. Trap 3. Using credit to bridge the gap between income and desired lifestyle. This trap is subtle. You're not being reckless. You're not buying things you don't need. You're just using credit to maintain a lifestyle that costs slightly more than you earn. $100 over each month, $200, $500. Not huge amounts, just a little gap. And you tell yourself it's temporary. Next bonus, you'll pay it down. Next raise, you'll catch up. Next year will be better. But next never comes because the gap keeps growing. The balance gets bigger. The minimum payments get larger. And suddenly, you're carrying $10,000 in credit card debt, then 20, then 30, and you're not even sure how it happened. This trap feels invisible while it's happening, because each individual purchase seems reasonable. Dinner with friends, new tires for the car, a small emergency, nothing extravagant. But the cumulative effect is devastating. You're paying 18% interest on a lifestyle you couldn't actually afford, but convinced yourself was normal. Think about your credit card balances right now. How did they get to where they are? Was it one big purchase or 1,000 small ones? And are you actually paying them down, or are they growing slowly every month? Japanese households avoid this trap by living below their means intentionally, not at their means. Below. They calculate what they can actually afford, and they structure their life to cost less than that. The gap is their buffer, their security, their freedom. And they never bridge it with credit because debt is borrowing from future freedom to fund present consumption. Trap 4. Treating retirement savings as something you'll get to later. This trap catches people in their 20s and 30s and doesn't release them until their 60s when it's too late. You're young. Retirement is decades away. You have time. Right now, you need to pay off student loans, save for a house, maybe start a family. Retirement can wait. So you contribute nothing, or maybe the bare minimum to get an employer match. And you tell yourself you'll catch up later. You'll make larger contributions in your 40s and 50s when you're earning more. You'll get serious about it eventually. But eventually arrives and you haven't caught up. Because life got more expensive, not less. You have kids, you have a mortgage, you have expenses you didn't have before. And now you're 45 with almost nothing saved for retirement. You panic, you try to contribute aggressively, but you can't make up for 2 decades of compound growth you missed. The trap is thinking you have time when you actually have compound growth windows that close permanently. $1 invested at 25 has 40 years to grow. $1 invested at 45 has 20 years. You can't recreate that missing 20 years, no matter how much you contribute later. Think about your own retirement position. If you're under 40, are you contributing meaningfully, or are you waiting until you can afford it? If you're over 40, do you wish you'd started earlier? And if you could go back, what would you change? Japanese workers contribute to retirement from their first paycheck. Not huge amounts, just consistent amounts. 10%, 15%, every month. For their entire career, they never stop. Never pause. Never tell themselves they'll catch up later, because they understand that time is the most valuable asset in retirement planning, and you can't buy it back. Trap 5. Believing that earning more will solve your financial problems. This is the trap that underlies all the others. You're stressed about money. Your solution is to earn more. Get the promotion. Start the side hustle. Work more hours. Make more money. And once you're making more, everything will be fine. Right? Except it never works that way. You earn more and your problems stay the same. Because the problem was never the income. It was the spending. It was the lifestyle inflation. It was the lack of structure. It was the unconscious financial decisions. And none of those things improve just because you earn more. In fact, they often get worse. Because now you have more money to mismanage. More income to inflate your lifestyle with. More credit available to trap yourself. You're making 6 figures and you feel just as stressed about money as you did making 40,000 because earning more doesn't fix broken financial habits. Think about your own financial stress. Would doubling your income actually solve it? Or would you just upgrade your lifestyle and end up in the same position with bigger numbers? Japanese financial philosophy says fix the structure first. Then, if you earn more, it actually helps. But if you earn more with broken structure, you just have more money flowing through a leaky system. The leak gets bigger. The stress stays the same. Nothing actually improves. Those are the 5 traps, and they catch almost everyone because they're normalized, because they look like responsible adult behavior, because everyone around you is falling into them too, so they must be fine. But they're not fine. They're quietly destroying your financial future. And if you're caught in even one of them, you need to get out. Now let me show you the 3 Japanese fixes that actually work. Japanese fix 1. Automate the gap before you see the money. The first fix addresses lifestyle inflation, credit dependency, and the retirement trap all at once. It's simple. On the day income arrives, your savings and retirement contributions move automatically. Before you see the money, before you can spend it, before you can talk yourself out of it, you decide once what percentage you're saving. 10%, 20, whatever you can sustain. You set up the automatic transfers. Then you live on what remains. That's your lifestyle budget. That's what you have available. And you never see the money that went to savings, so you never miss it. This creates a forced gap between income and lifestyle. The gap that lifestyle inflation destroys. The gap that credit tries to bridge. The gap that retirement needs to grow. And it happens automatically, so willpower never enters the equation. Here's what this looks like in practice. You earn $5,000 a month after taxes. You set up automatic transfers, 15% to retirement, 10% to savings. That's $1,250 that moves on payday. You never see it in your checking account. You live on the remaining $3,750. At first, it feels tight, but your brain adjusts. Your spending fits the space available. And 12 months later, you've saved $15,000 without a single moment of willpower, without a single decision. It just happened automatically while you lived your life. Think about your own financial structure. Is saving something you try to do at the end of the month with whatever's left? Or is it something that happens automatically before you can spend? Try this. Set up one automatic transfer this week. Retirement or savings. 10% of your income. Same day your paycheck hits. Let it run for 3 months without touching the savings. Then check the balance. You'll be shocked at what automation creates without effort. Japanese fix 2. Use the envelope method with physical cash for variable spending. The second fix addresses unconscious spending and credit dependency. It brings money back to the physical world where your brain can actually process it. You withdraw your monthly variable spending money in cash. Food, gas, entertainment, personal spending. You divide it into envelopes by category, and when an envelope is empty, you're done spending in that category until next month. This sounds primitive. We have apps for this. We have technology. Why would you use physical cash and literal envelopes? Because digital money doesn't feel real. Your brain processes swiping a card differently than handing over cash. And that difference is costing you thousands of dollars a year. When you have $200 in cash in your food envelope, you can see exactly what you have left. You feel the envelope getting lighter. You count the remaining bills. Your brain understands in a visceral way that digital numbers can't replicate. And that understanding creates natural restraint without requiring willpower. The envelope system is also the only method that makes credit dependency impossible. You can't use credit if you're only spending cash. The temptation to bridge the gap with a card disappears because the card isn't available. You work within what you have because that's all that exists. Think about your variable spending right now. Do you actually know how much you've spent this month on food? On entertainment? On random purchases? Or do you just know that money keeps leaving your account? Try this. Next month, try envelopes for just one category. Maybe food. Withdraw your monthly food budget in cash. Put it in an envelope. Use only that cash for groceries and eating out. Watch what happens to your awareness and your spending when money becomes physical again. Japanese fix 3. Build a visible buffer before chasing returns. The third fix addresses the panic that drives bad financial decisions. It creates psychological security that no amount of optimization can match. Before you invest aggressively, before you try to maximize returns, you build a visible buffer. 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. In a savings account, you can access immediately. This buffer is not for maximum returns. It's for maximum peace. It's the money that lets you sleep at night. The money that keeps you from panicking during emergencies. The money that transforms you from reactive to proactive. And it needs to be visible and accessible, not locked away in investments you can't touch. Western finance says, invest everything, maximize growth, don't let cash sit idle. But that advice assumes you're a rational, calculating machine who never panics. Japanese wisdom says you're human. Humans need security before they need growth. And security comes from a buffer you can see and access when life happens. Here's what the buffer fixes. You lose your job. Without a buffer, you panic. You take the first new job you can find, even if it's wrong for you. You might even go into debt to survive. With a buffer, you breathe. You have 3 months to find the right next move. You make better decisions because you're not desperate. Your car breaks down. Without a buffer, you put it on a credit card at 18% interest. With a buffer, you pull from savings and fix it without stress. Same emergency, completely different financial outcome. The buffer doesn't optimize for returns. It optimizes for psychology. And psychology determines whether you make good decisions or panic decisions. Over a lifetime, good decisions matter more than a few percentage points of return. Think about your own financial position. If you lost your income today, how long could you survive without panicking? 1 month? 2 weeks? Or do you have genuine breathing room? Try this. Calculate 3 months of your essential expenses, just essentials. Rent, food, utilities, insurance, minimum debt payments. That's your buffer goal. Build it before you increase investment contributions. Build it before you try to optimize returns. Just build it, then protect it. Only use it for genuine emergencies. And watch how differently you feel about money when you have space between you and disaster. What makes these 3 fixes so powerful is that they're structural. They're not motivational. They're not about trying harder or being more disciplined. They're about designing your financial life so the right things happen automatically and the wrong things become harder. Automating the gap removes the decision from lifestyle inflation. You can't inflate your lifestyle with money you never see. The envelope system removes the temptation of credit. You can't swipe a card when you're only using cash. The buffer removes the panic that drives bad decisions. You can't panic about emergencies when you have months of expenses saved. These fixes work because they work with human psychology instead of fighting it. They assume you're not perfect. They assume you'll be tempted. They assume you'll face emergencies, and they build protection against all of it into your financial structure. The 5 traps catch almost everyone because they look normal. Lifestyle inflation looks like success. Financing assets looks like being an adult. Using credit looks like managing cash flow. Delaying retirement looks like being realistic. Chasing income looks like ambition. All of it looks fine until you're 60 and broke. The 3 Japanese fixes look weird. Automating savings looks like you don't trust yourself. Using cash envelopes looks outdated. Building a buffer instead of investing looks inefficient. But they create actual financial security while the traps create the appearance of success. You can avoid these traps. You can implement these fixes. You don't need permission. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to recognize which traps you're currently caught in and choose one fix to start with. Maybe you're caught in lifestyle inflation. Start with automated transfers. Maybe you're caught in credit dependency. Start with the envelope system for one category. Maybe you're caught in perpetual financial stress. Start building your buffer. One trap identified, one fix implemented, then another, and another. And over time, you'll build a financial structure that protects you from the things that catch everyone else. Not because you're smarter, because you have better systems. The Japanese prove this works. Not in theory, in actual households with actual security. They avoid the traps by design, not by willpower. And their fixes create results that look like discipline, but are actually just structure. If this resonated and you want more honest guidance about avoiding financial traps and building actual security, subscribe to this channel. We explore Japanese financial wisdom that protects you from the mistakes that catch everyone else. Real fixes for real traps. No shame, no complexity. Just simple structural changes that create lasting security. You'll find more wisdom like this waiting for you.